Chapter 1. Every Tuesday, something very silly happens on planet Cheerio. The planet itself is made of cereal. Yep, real cereal. The ground is made of crunchy O's, the mountains are made of frosted flakes, and the clouds above are soft and sweet like whipped cream. Even the trees are made of giant pretzel sticks with cotton candy leaves. They giggle when the wind tickles them. But the best part of Tuesday? It's Underpants Parade Day. Every creature on planet Cheerio, big, small, squishy, furry, or made of marshmallows, puts their silliest, wildest underpants on their heads. Not on their bottoms. On their heads. There were polka dot underpants, rainbow striped underpants, underpants with googly eyes. Some even had spaghetti noodles dangling from the sides. Even the dancing toast wore underpants on their heads as they boogied in the butter square. The mayor of planet Cheerio, a tall silver spoon with a curly mustache, stood proudly in the middle of the cereal square. His name was Sir Slurps-a-Lot, and he wore extra fancy golden underpants on his shiny head. "Let the underpants parade begin!" he shouted, twirling like a ballerina spoon. Everyone cheered. Confetti made of crushed cookies filled the air. The marching band of Jellybeans played silly tunes on horns made of licorice. One cookie even did a backflip. But just as the fun was starting, whoosh, a loud sound filled the sky. It was like a giant slurp, but much louder and much more vacuumy. Everyone looked up. Floating above the parade was a spaceship. But not just any spaceship. This one looked like a giant vacuum cleaner with eyes and wiggly arms. It was Glorp, the grumpiest vacuum in the galaxy. Before anyone could say Underpants, Glorp opened his vacuum nozzle and began to slurp up every single pair of parade underpants. Underpants flew off heads, zip, zoom, whee! And disappeared into Glorp's belly. The trees screamed. The Jellybean band played sad trombone sounds. Even Sir Slurps-a-Lot's golden undies were gone. The Underpants parade was ruined, and in the middle of the silence, a very small Jellybean in a detective hat stepped forward. His name was Fizzy McBoingBoing. He looked up at the sky, squinted his tiny Jellybean eyes, and said softly, "Well, that's not good." Chapter 2. The whole planet was quiet. No music, no giggles, no dancing toast, just the sound of a single spoon sniffling into a tissue made of napkin noodles. Sir Slurps-a-Lot stood in the center of the square, staring up at the sky. His golden underpants were gone. His mustache drooped like a soggy breadstick. "The parade is canceled," he whispered. A long, sad "ah" came from every corner of planet Cheerio. Even the trees looked gloomy, their cotton candy leaves slowly drooping like melted ice cream. Just then, a tiny boing echoed in the air. Boing, boing, boing. From behind a mountain of granola bars came a small, round Jellybean in a detective coat made of fruit leather. He wore shiny shoes made of chewing gum and a serious look on his little face. It was Fizzy McBoingBoing, the best and only Jellybean detective in the galaxy. He held up a candy cane magnifying glass and looked at the crowd. "Looks like we've got a classic case of galactic undie snatching," Fizzy said, bouncing on his jelly feet. A few creatures gasped. "Who would do such a thing?" cried a cupcake wearing earmuffs. "I saw it with my own eyeballs," shouted a spoon with roller skates. "It was Glorp, that grumpy vacuum," Fizzy nodded. "I know Glorp. He doesn't mean to be bad. He's just very bad at knowing what not to suck up." Just then, a tiny crouton peeked out from Fizzy's coat pocket. "Do we have a plan?" the crouton squeaked. Fizzy smiled. "We sure do, Crumbs." He flipped open a Jellybean-sized map of the galaxy. "We follow Glorp's suction trail," Fizzy explained, "through the Great Milk River, over Popcorn Volcano, and straight into the donut wormhole." Crumbs shivered. "But that sounds messy." "Messy?" Fizzy grinned. "Perfect." Then Fizzy pulled a lever on his milk-powered pogo-copter, and it let out a splurt-splurt poof of whipped cream steam. The pogo-copter wobbled, rose into the sky, and zoomed off toward the horizon. Fizzy waved to the crowd below. "Don't worry," he called out. "We'll get your underpants back." Sir Slurps-a-Lot saluted with a teacup. The dancing toast gave a hopeful wiggle. And somewhere far ahead, Glorp slurped his way deeper into space, still burping out stray bits of elastic. Chapter 3. Fizzy McBoingBoing bounced through the sky on his milk-powered pogo-copter, following the sparkly suction trail left behind by Glorp. Crumbs the crouton peeked out of Fizzy's coat pocket. "Do you think we'll ever see the underpants again?" he asked, nervously munching on his own corner. Fizzy nodded. If it's got a waistband, I'll find it. Ahead of them, the sky turned steamy and buttery. They were getting close to Mount Paparoni, the tallest, loudest, poppiest volcano in the galaxy. And it was made entirely of popcorn. Big, fluffy popcorn kernels bounced down the mountainside. Some were covered in cheese dust. Others were extra buttery. A few even wore sunglasses and sang opera for no reason at all. "Whoa," Crumbs whispered. "I smell snacks." But Fizzy didn't slow down. His eyes were locked on the bubbling popcorn at the top of the volcano. Glorp's trail swirled right through it. Boom! Pop kablooey! The volcano shot out a popcorn explosion that rained down caramel drizzle like golden sprinkles. Fizzy weaved through the flying kernels, dodging one that looked suspiciously like a flying moose. "Hold on, Crumbs," he shouted. "I'm trying," Crumbs squeaked, holding his breath. They crash-landed near the bottom of the volcano in a soft pile of kettle corn. Fizzy stood up, brushing sugar dust off his coat. That was deliciously dangerous. Just then, a jazzy beat filled the air. Fizzy turned to see 3 peanut butter penguins wearing sparkly fedoras. "Looking for underpants?" one of them asked, twirling a candy cane. "Yes!" Fizzy said. "Have you seen a grumpy vacuum with snack-thieving habits?" The penguins all nodded in rhythm. "He went that-a-way," sang the second penguin, pointing a flipper toward the sky. "Right into the donut wormhole," said the third. "Smelled like sprinkles and old gym socks," added the first. Fizzy pulled out his jelly map and circled the spot. "Perfect," he said. "Next stop, Planet Laundry Basket." Crumbs shuddered. "I really don't like that name." Fizzy smiled. "It's gonna be stinky, but we're getting those underpants back." The peanut butter penguins cheered and tossed Fizzy a lucky gumdrop. "Good luck, detective," they sang as Fizzy and Crumbs zipped off again, straight toward a giant, glowing donut in the sky that burped as they flew through it. Chapter 4. Fizzy McBoingBoing and Crumbs zipped through the donut wormhole, spinning and twirling in their pogo copter as they were surrounded by frosting swirls and floating sprinkles. "Whoa!" Crumbs shouted. "It smells like cupcakes and old gym socks in here." Fizzy nodded. "We're getting close." With one final spin, they popped out of the wormhole and landed, plop, on a strange, soggy planet. It was dark. It was damp. It was stinky. "Welcome to Planet Laundry Basket," Fizzy whispered. The ground was squishy and smelled like sweaty socks and wet towels. Giant tumbleweeds of lint rolled by, and the trees were made of clothes hangers with saggy pants hanging from every branch. From far away, they heard a strange sound. Bloop. Bloop. Burp. "That has to be Glorp," Crumbs said, pinching his nose. They tiptoed past a mountain of moldy mittens, through a puddle of stinky sock soup, and up a hill made of stained t-shirts. At the top they saw him, Glorp. He was sitting in a puddle of detergent bubbles, his big vacuum hose curled around himself. His belly was full, so full it was glowing with every color of the rainbow from all the underpants inside. Fizzy stepped forward. "Glorp," he said gently. "Did you mean to suck up every pair of parade underpants?" Glorp's nozzle drooped. "I thought it was lint," he grumbled. "I didn't mean to ruin the fun." Fizzy nodded. "I believe you, but we need them back." "I've tried," Glorp moaned, "but they're stuck, all bunched up inside me like a traffic jam of tighty-whities." Fizzy thought for a moment. Then, with a clever smile, he pulled out his bubblegum pliers, his magic kazoo, and a small bottle labeled Tickle Spray. "Let's give this a try," he said. Crumbs giggled. "This is going to be ridiculous." First, Fizzy sprayed Glorp with tickle spray. Then he played a very silly song on the kazoo. Finally, he gave Glorp a little poke in the belly with the bubblegum pliers. Sproing! A burst of underpants shot into the sky like a rainbow cannon. Boxers, briefs, underwear with bananas, underwear with dancing cats. They soared through the air, spinning and twirling like little flying capes. "I did it!" Glorp laughed, blowing a soap bubble out of his nozzle. Crumbs clapped. "That was beautiful." Fizzy looked up at the sky. "Let's go home," he said. "It's time for a parade." Chapter 5. Fizzy McBoingBoing, Crumbs the crouton, and Glorp. The vacuum zoomed back through the donut wormhole with a whoosh and a burp. Behind them, underpants of every kind spun through the air like confetti. There were superhero briefs, sparkly boxers, and even glow-in-the-dark undies with Jellybean faces on them. They arrived back on planet Cheerio just as the sun was rising, shining like a golden jelly bean in the sky. The streets were quiet. The parade had been called off. Marshmallow dogs sat sadly on cereal benches. Toast dancers had lost their groove. Even the giggly pretzel trees were sighing into their cotton candy leaves. Then, splat! A bright blue pair of underpants landed on Sir Slurpsalot's head. He blinked, looked up, and saw the sky fill with underwear. "It's raining underpants!" he shouted. Everyone cheered. Horns tooted. Toast danced. Jellybean musicians ran out with their licorice tubas and candy corn drums. "The Underpants parade is back on!" Fizzy called out. He somersaulted off the pogo copter and landed with a jelly bounce in the middle of the square. Glorp happily hummed as he vacuumed up leftover sprinkles, careful to avoid any head-worn underpants this time. Sir Slurpsalot gave Fizzy a shiny golden pair of parade pants. "For you," he said, "the bravest bean we've ever known." Fizzy smiled and gently placed the golden underpants on his head. They were way too big. They flopped down over his eyes. He didn't care. He laughed. Everyone laughed. And then the music started. Marching jelly beans, spinning cookie ballerinas, tap-dancing spoons, the sky filled with sparkling cereal fireworks that went snap, crackle, boom! Fizzy and Crumbs danced down the street, leading the parade. "Case closed," Fizzy said, striking a pose. Crumbs nodded. "Time for a snack?" Fizzy grinned. "Always." And so the Underpants parade danced on, with laughter, music, and underwear on every head. Even the trees, even the toast, even Glorp.